we use Group 5's presentation, presented by Justin, Kim, and Mitch. So what is a proxy? Proxy servers have been around for decades, serving many different purposes. In a nutshell, a proxy is a server that acts as an intermediary between a device and other content servers, such as web servers. In the past, proxy servers were used in order to allow multiple devices to connect to the internet from a single IP address. That was back before NAT anyway. When accessing the internet, the client computer would be pointed to the proxy server. That would then reach out to the web, grab the page that you've been requesting, and serve it to the client. While that type of proxy is no longer popular in homes with the advent of NAT, proxies are still around in many flavors. Some of those flavors are for example, the SOCKS proxy, or the Socket Secure proxy. SOCKS proxies work at a lower level than a standard HTTP proxy. They do not try and interpret web traffic, they just pass along all the requests they receive. This makes them much more versatile than regular HTTP proxies. SOCKS proxies can handle all kinds of internet traffic, including POP3, SMTP for emails, Internet Relay Chat, or FTP or File Transfer Protocol for uploading files to websites. They can also handle torrent traffic, which is why SOCKS proxies are sometimes referred to as torrent proxies. We also have a web proxy. Web proxies allow you to connect to a proxy server from inside your web browser. This proxy server can either be HTTP or HTTPS proxies. Web proxies are usually free and have the advantage that you do not need to download or install any extra software. Simply visit a website. They are therefore very easy to use. Another type of proxy that is pretty common is a reverse proxy. A reverse proxy server is generally used to pass requests from the internet through a firewall to isolated private networks. It is used to prevent internet clients from having direct, unmonitored access to sensitive data residing on content servers on an isolated network or intranet. If caching is enabled, a reverse proxy can also lessen network traffic by serving cached information rather than passing all the requests to the actual content server. A brief search on the internet for proxies will show you that there are many providers, but we thought we'd just list a few. One of them is CC Proxy. It's a paid proxy with a focus on web optimization for home internet connections. Another common proxy out there is Hidester. Hidester is a free proxy that focuses on getting around firewall blocks. Many of us would have used these back in grade school, getting to game websites. By serving up the site to the client in place of a direct connection to the site, you're able to get around a blacklist block from the firewall. And another one is Kproxy. Kproxy comes in the form of a browser plugin and aims to make your activity on the web more anonymous. By being a browser plugin, there's virtually nothing to install and it's extremely easy to use. In addition to that, Kproxy has about 1.5 million active monthly users.
Thanks, Justin. So let's talk about Squid. Squid is a popular open source proxy solution used throughout the internet. It's been around since the early 1990s, and Squid was originally a product of what was known as the Harvest project, which was at the University of Colorado. Now, that project was commissioned by the Internet Research Task Force, and the IRTF itself is a part of DARPA. And so it was also funded, you could say it was funded by DARPA. Now, DARPA was heavily involved in the creation of the ARPANET, which was a precursor to that little thing we call the internet. And the IRTF is charged with focusing on the long-term research relating to the internet. So you could say Squid has a very illustrious family tree. Now, the initial Harvest project funded by DARPA, but Squid itself was completed with funds from the National Science Foundation. I find that kind of curious. DARPA is tasked with defense research solely, so what started off as a defense project found favor with the National Science Foundation, which essentially does everything but defense. Now, since that time, Squid's development and maintenance has been through volunteers, and one of the key people, Dwayne Wessels, has been at the project from the very beginning, and he and his company provide the means for Squid to remain on the web. So we could say our grandparents as taxpayers funded Squid, but today it remains, thankfully, open source. meaning it's not only free to use, its code is available to use as anyone may wish to use it. And there are many projects which use Squid's base code for their products themselves. Now, Squid's main focus is aimed at ISPs, websites, and content delivery providers. For ISPs, Squid provides the caching of frequently used web content. Simply stated, this means that the content is stored much closer to the end user, which saves the bandwidth for the ISP and helps speed up delivery to the end user. Squid also helps ISPs adjust to the various network conditions encountered throughout the internet, as well as provide support for ISPs to cope with growth. Now, Squid also helps websites by assisting again through caching delivery of popular content, like if they have a rather extensive front page or perhaps embedded videos, which I personally am not a fan of. It may make sense to deploy a Squid proxy server in various places to help speed up that content delivery. Now, for content delivery providers themselves, Squid can be used to provide load balancing in much the same fashion by simply deploying Squid servers worldwide near big locations to, again, through caching, bring content closer to the end user. Now, those 3 advertised uses are taken directly from Squid's own website. Notice how they focus nearly all on caching, and it's not surprising since their website is squid-cache.org. Right at the top, their Why Squid page, they pose the question in subtitles, why should I bother with web caching? Can't I just buy more bandwidth? And despite their explanations, to me that remains a very good question. Now, at a website called stackshare.io, a comparison with another proxy, HA Proxy, tells an interesting tale. 3 companies are shown to use Squid, yet many more household names use HA Proxy, including Twitter, Quora, and Evernote, to name a few. And I think what's most interesting is that the comments mention load balancing. I love HA Proxy. It's my load balancer. It's my load balance solution. With relatively little, and I didn't look at every single comment, but I didn't see any mention of caching. HA Proxy is also open source, and it also features caching as one of its features. Perhaps the buying of more bandwidth is a better strategy than caching in today's world. Now, Squid's latest release, 3.5.27, was released last August. And they have these things called daily auto-generated releases, the last of which was released earlier this month, March 1st of this year. So clearly some smart people believe caching and Squid are something to keep alive. Indeed, some people use Squid on Amazon AWS instances. So despite the website URL, Squid does provide utility in other ways. Since it technically is a web proxy, it operates at layer 7, the application layer OSI model. This allows it to filter traffic by content as opposed to IP addresses, as is done with network address translation on layer 3. Filtering by content can provide more comprehensive results than by simply filtering by URL or IP address. Relatedly, you can install Squid on servers and desktops, and it would make an excellent security option for small businesses, and it integrates well with pfSense. Consumer routers you may buy at Best Buy are not engineered for deep packet inspection, and commercial options are very expensive. So I'll now hand things off to Mitch, who will show Squid in action and demonstrate another potentially useful feature.
Hi, this is Mitch. I'll be going through the Squid demo with you. I've previously set up Squid on Kali Linux on a virtual machine. Squid can do many things, but I'm just going to demo an access control list. Let's go into the ACL file in Squid. That's not it. Here's the ACL file, and as you can see, I've whitelisted google.com and BYU.edu, and they've been whitelisted. On the blacklist, I have Amazon.com. Let's add YouTube to that. And you see these have been blacklisted. On Squid, you can also download different ACL files that have already been made, such as one that might have all the porn sites that are blacklisted. And also on Squid, you can see any sentence that starts with the pound sign comments out the rest of the line. If you go down far enough, you'd be able to see that Squid has already been determined what traffic is acceptable on which ports, and has already set up some default ACLs. It'll go through the first ones listed, so that's why I've just added these at the very start. So let's save that. Let's exit, and then we'll reconfigure since we've changed that. Now let's go into the browser. I've already configured Firefox to use Squid, but I'll show you how I did that. Go into the menu, go into Preferences, Advanced, Network, and Settings. You can see that I've changed it for manual proxy configuration. Squid uses port 3128. Let's go back to our browser. And let's go to google.com. You see it takes it. Let's try Amazon.com. See, the proxy is, since it's been blacklisted, it's refusing to let it connect. Try BYUidaho.edu. That works. Let's try YouTube. And that one's blocked. Well, that's basically how Squid works, and thanks for watching our Squid demo.